And we still have the 20-second delay, so we'll be going live in like 12 seconds apparently.
Is this the part where I talk and pretend I don't know the stream's going up, and then for 10 minutes I talk?
It was more than 10 minutes. When I listened to it back, it was like 40 minutes that I didn't know that we went live.
That's a massive chunk of a stream.
Yeah. Okay, now this seems to be working better, I think. It's telling me excellent connection. I think maybe it's just because the router's quite far away. So maybe the Wi-Fi doesn't like it. I don't know. Okay, third time's the charm, I hope. I hope this works for you guys. Yeah, I've switched to my 5G, so I'm now streaming from my phone instead of the Wi-Fi. I think it's because I'm at my dad's house and trying to use his Wi-Fi, but the router's all the way downstairs. I'm not used to being in a place with that many rooms, so, you know. Anyway, we are here. I got SB is up from his nap now, so we've actually got SB as well. And Necro says you just need me to host the streams. I definitely do. Yours are always way less scuffed than mine. But routers. Yeah, that means something different in Australia, doesn't it? Having a good old root.
I can't.
Thank you for the hearts, everybody. Right, so Natalie seems to be a bit of a cursed child when it comes to technology. Oh, you don't want to know all the curses I have. So, now we're in business. Let's talk about Mushoku Tensei, Season 2, Episode 5. SB, for you, what was the best part of the episode?
The ending.
Yeah.
Which sounds a bit bad, but the particular part where Sylvia's healing Rudy, and you can kind of see that moment where Rudy doesn't feel judged, because right when he was being accused of stealing panties, you can see the sweat on him. He was panicking. He's kind of, you can see the trauma on him.
Yeah.
I'm doing an ad.
I know you. I watched your video actually before I went live, and I could just tell when you started talking about that, about Rudy's trauma, I was like, yeah, he's being influenced by a certain psychologist we know.
Yeah, I'm using a lot of that knowledge that I've stolen from him or acquired.
Well, he's just educated us, you know.
But it just works really well. Then Fitz comes in, saves the day, but there's no judgmentalness, and so you can instantly see Rudy's kind of instantly bonding with Fitz because of that, because he doesn't feel judged or belittled or looked down on, or there's no tsundere. It's just genuine kindness towards him, which I really feel like the anime's done a really good job on that, and portraying that kind of connection a lot better than how I imagined it in the actual light novels.
People say you're sounding very quiet. I've actually got the desktop audio, which you're coming through, up as high as it will go. So, are you sitting a bit far away? Or... Okay.
I lowered it because it picks up the traffic during the day when I record.
Yeah, no, actually, today it's not quite as hot as it has been, so we shouldn't get too much cicada noise, which people have been complaining about in my videos lately. Ada, thank you, Adrian Onajadi. He says they have yet to show Lisa's magic crystals. Yeah, we didn't get the full explanation of how her curse works in this episode. So we know now that Rudy knows that she does have a curse, when he was talking about how he now knows why she's doing all of that, but didn't really go into detail about how it works. I think we'll probably find that out more in the next couple of episodes. Yeah.
Because I'm assuming next week will probably be the tying up and the Chadmeister.
Yeah. I think that's going to be good. Twitter is not going to like that scene. I've already had a few people asking me about it. Like, yeah, I mean, we'll talk about it next week once it's actually not a spoiler. But I think look out for those of you who are anime only. Next week, there's going to be some Twitter drama if you're on Twitter. I'm pretty sure of it.
That's the one time I won't be there, and all the good stuff happens then.
Yeah. But it's not going to be the only episode with drama. I think once we meet a certain dwarf character, there'll be some drama as well that we can get in on.
At least I'll be home probably by the time all the drama starts to spice up.
Yeah. Yeah, next week you'll have to put up with just me. I'm going to try and get Brandon on again, or somebody else to be a guest next week, because Espy's going to be in hospital being looked after by all the nice nurses.
Yeah, we'll go with nice.
It's a
Some
shame.
of them not so much.
It's a shame you can't have Fitz to give you.
See, that would be nice.
Yeah, just do a little bit of healing magic and be kind to you.
Twitter drama, who could guess? It's X now.
X.
I love calling it X.
I do too. Really annoys
It
people.
upsets so many people.
Yeah.
But it's a porn site. I'm like, exactly. And that's what I love about it.
But there are loads of things called X that are nothing to do with porn, aren't there? I mean, like XCOM, that has nothing to do with porn. I watched Fast X the other day. That didn't really have anything to do with porn. There's, I don't know. There's loads of things with an X that aren't adult. I think our minds are just in the gutter.
It should be, yeah. I don't really care much for the name. It's just another app name.
Yeah.
Where everyone goes to whinge about silly stuff, and I get to read all of it.
I still think that, like, as a name, it doesn't at least have that, like, 2000s feel of, like, Twitter, Tumblr, all of that sort of stuff. Where it's kind of like a bit of a nonsense word, but still kind of, I don't know, that feels a bit dated to me now. And the birds, you know, it was never the coolest logo, was it? I can kind of see why Elon wanted to go a little bit more edgy with it. But
I mean, yeah, I feel like most people that are upset that it's called X now are the ones that probably make content on Twitter because it was a good like a easy keyword to use.
Yeah.
Now, YouTubers can't use the word X probably because it comes mistaken as a porn site, so they're probably like, oh,
yeah,
we can't use that. YouTube will demonetize us. So that's actually kind of clever.
And Joshua Viljoen says, would you ever date a fan and would you ever go to New Zealand? Well, it depends which one of us you're asking, really. I've already been to New Zealand and I probably would date a fan, but it would be easier for SB to go to New Zealand than for me. So, would you, SB?
I mean, going to another country for someone, that's fine. As far as a fan goes, I would need a female fan to start with.
Yeah, I think it's just me, isn't it?
Yeah.
I'm the only one.
And Necro. No, I'm kidding. Let's see if he's actually paying attention.
He probably is, but Necro has a female avatar, so I guess he does count. But
exactly. I don't have a female avatar. Well, actually, I take that back. I used the Eris one, so...
Yeah, but that's just your profile picture. You use your actual face, like some kind of brave person, on your videos.
Yeah, apparently I don't shower.
Oh yeah, somebody said that the other day. I'm like, how would you even tell that through a video? And he said you needed a haircut, and I was like, he got a haircut last week. I know this. But I did tell you it looked exactly the same when you had your headphones on, so...
When my headset's on, it always looks the same. It's just because it puffs it up a little bit.
I think, like, what do you think in terms of the whole discussion on whether Rudy should have noticed that Fitz is Sylphie?
I'm 50-50 on it. I can see why some people feel like he should have noticed, but at the same time, Rudy's kind of in that state of mind where he's very submissive. He's kind of trying to please everyone. He's preoccupied. He's not really looking for the subtle details. And he's probably thinking Sylphie with green hair, and that's like a very distinguished feature. So your brain kind of like looks for that one distinguished feature. And if it's not there, it's just like, it instantly just is like, oh, it's clearly not the person that they think it is.
See, personally, I've always thought, without going into spoilers, that he kind of knows on a subconscious level. That's why he like responds the way he does a few times, and he notices things like the wand, you know. And I think he
picks up on little things, but
I think he's just like he's not mentally ready to accept that there's someone there that could be a love interest for him, you know. So he's happy to kind of go along with this is Silent Fitz, this is a different person, this is, you know. And we know that Sylphie can pull off a kind of androgynous role anyway, so I don't know, I think it does work, but I can see why some anime onlys might be just like, well, is Rudy just an idiot, you know? Can I just do some ara-aras before we carry on that topic? Ara-ara, thank you, the Bone Man. He said, to put my artist's 2 cents into this episode, Ranoa is gorgeous. It fits into the world without it sticking out too much, but just enough for you to appreciate. Anyway, good luck in the hospital, SB. And then, Ara, thank you again, Adrian on a JD. I really hope I'm pronouncing that right. Could you rank your favourite characters? Mine is Orsted. Well, I'm not going to do every single character like a tier list because, you know, that would be a whole video of its own. But, yeah, Orsted is certainly one of my favourites, along with Eris. What about you, SB?
Orsted is best girl.
Yeah. And best boy. One of my...
I'm trying to convince everyone that there's going to be a 6-part OVA where Orsted and Rudy have wild angry sex. I'm still going to run with that.
Yeah, we have managed to mention that quite a few times on Ed's stream as well.
Yeah.
I don't think he believes us, but... Ricardo says, to be fair, Rudy hasn't seen Sylphia in more than 10 years, and now she has white hair, glasses, and is dressed in men's clothes, so I can understand why he wouldn't remember her. Yeah, I mean, the whole sort of dynamic at the moment, you've got that thing where, you know, where Luke was talking to Rudius.
Another distinguished feature is the ears, and elves aren't exactly an uncommon thing either. I mean, he is friends with one that's sleeping around.
Yeah. And, you know, like, yeah, I think that he feels this, like, certain connection or whatever, and he has noticed little things like the wand. I think he does sort of know deep down, but he's willing to sort of not accept it yet because he's got so many issues, and really what he wants to do is fit in, at, you know, sort of move into this new phase of his life. And if someone from his past is there who could be a potential love interest and all of that, that's a lot for him to deal with in this current state. So maybe making that person his new best friend is kind of a different way of coping with it. But I'd like to know what you guys all think about that when we're a bit later on. It's kind of hard to say at the moment that, you know, how that's going to work out without any spoilers. So somebody else asked if Linear and Persena are related.
No.
Not. They're both from what's called the Doldia tribe, which is like the people we saw in the Beast village in the forest. They're kind of the prominent of the Beastmen tribes, and under the Doldia tribe there's the Dead Oldia tribe, which is where you get, you know, Ghislaine, a lot of the characters we saw in the Beast village, like I think Guy's his name is, who's Ghislaine's brother and is Linea's father, and also the father of the little girl that Eris made friends with. I think she was called Minitona. So they're two separate clans under this one big clan that's like the most sort of favoured of the beast people is the cat people and the dog people, for reasons that go back to the beast god and all kinds of lore stuff that don't really need to go into to understand them. But basically, one of those two girls, because they're the daughters of the chiefs of their respective tribes, one of them can become the next chief. And that's why they've been sent away to university to kind of prepare themselves for their future responsibilities, but they've basically just become delinquents because they're basically princesses among the beast people, and they're a lot stronger than the average human student. They've managed to kind of become the school bullies, and it's going to be really interesting to see how that storyline plays out. I mean, I'd expect we'd also see at some point how Ariel became the president. I wasn't sure if that would be in this episode, but...
Yeah, I don't know if they'll skip over it or not.
They might do, or it might play into the stuff with Linear and Persena in general. I don't know. They could skip over it. I mean, it's not that important, but it would give a lot of opportunity to see a bit more of how Fitz, Luke, and Ariel all sort of interact, because they actually have a really nice dynamic. We saw a little bit of it when Luke was kind of like berating Rudius for being forgetful. And what he meant there was that, you know, Sylphie was upset that Rudius didn't remember her. And Sylphie's really close to Luke and Ariel, and she talks to them about everything. So he probably is thinking, oh, this guy, you know, how can he not remember my bestie kind of thing. And we see.
They also don't know that her hair colour changed as well.
Yeah. I mean, they might know. She might have told them. I don't think it was ever mentioned either way.
I don't think it was ever mentioned. I specifically remember in the light novels her noting that she never told them about the hair colour change.
And of course,
she was ashamed of it.
Yeah, with green hair being an issue in that world, she probably wouldn't have told them. But yeah. So they may not realise just how different she looks. But I think people will start to see, like, one thing that's really good about Fitz is you get to see Sylphie as, like, not just an addition to Rudy. She's, like, her own person. She's got her own friends, her own kind of things she wants to achieve. And so the fact that she's interested in Rudius is kind of normal, which you don't really see a lot with childhood friends that find their love interest again in a harem anime. You know, like, it's usually... You know, she will not have anything else going on in her life and just be like, yay, I love him. And in this case, Sylphie does have her own friends and her own objectives. And as much as she can, like, help Rudius, she's still her own person and always will be. And we really see that personality come out while she's acting as Fitz. And you see that there's, like, a lot more to her than just the sort of shy little kid that we saw at first. And that makes me really like Sylphie.
Can't wait for all the Rudy groomed Sylphia.
Oh, God. It's like people can have it one way or the other. Either he groomed her or he didn't. And if he didn't see her for 10 years, it's like saying that Roxy groomed him, you know?
Yeah, but they won't say that because it doesn't fit the narrative.
Yeah, exactly. It's so stupid. It's like, yeah, when she was a little kid, he did, like, think, oh, I can turn her into the perfect wife or whatever. But then he didn't see her for years, and now he sees her and he doesn't even know that it's her, at least on the surface level. So it's like, how can he possibly have groomed her? You know, it's her that wants to be with him. He's basically thinking that his childhood friend is still missing and he'd like to find her, and that's it. He's not really thinking about anything like that. But Twitter's gonna Twitter, X is gonna X.
Have it no other way.
Yeah. It's all engagement. But yeah, out of the new characters introduced today, there was one thing I wanted to mention actually. There's a bit when Rudius is in the classroom and Zenoba's sort of talking to him, and he says, Miss Silent isn't here. And that kind of reminded me that there is that kind of an awkwardness where you have Silent Fitz, but that's not the character they're talking about. And that's because Silent Seven Star, who is the character Zenoba was talking about, is their name is in English. So in world it would be in the common tongue or whatever. So in Japanese it's said in English. Whereas Silent Fitz, they're just using the word silent in Japanese in front of Fitz because Fitz doesn't talk very much. Mainly because Fitz, Ariel and Luke don't want people to notice that Fitz has a very feminine voice. So when Zenoba said Miss Silent isn't here, he's referring to a completely different character, and it's not that Silent Fitz is in the special class. But I did figure that would confuse some people, and they would be like, well, why isn't Fitz in that class? But it's just a case of, in one case it's the word silent, and in other case it's intentionally the English word silent. But of course, when you're watching...
They messed up the translation as well. I'm not sure if it was on the version you watched, but the one that I watched, apparently Rudy says she in his head.
When talking about Fitz?
Referring to Fitz.
No, that wasn't in the version I saw.
It was like right at the end of the episode, but yeah, people like pointed it out, and I was like, I didn't even notice it. It showed how much I was paying attention.
I think it also depends. I mean, I watch it on the sketchy sites, and you get more like fan translations on there rather than the official ones. But yeah, that shouldn't have been. Rudius shouldn't be thinking of Fitz as she at this point in the story. And it can be difficult for translators anyway, because in Japanese you quite often don't even use pronouns. So you'll have a sentence that doesn't specify whether you're talking about a he or a she, because in Japanese you don't really need to. A lot of it's contextual. And then once they start translating it, they start adding in pronouns. And when you've got a situation like this where it's a female character disguised as a man, so sometimes people are talking about them as a man, sometimes they're talking about them as a woman, the translators can mess that up a bit. Let's see what else chat is saying.
And as far as the wand thing goes, the wand was changed from what the light novel shows to what the anime is, because there is meant to be a cage over Fitz's gem on the wand, but I think in the anime they just got rid of it. I think it's just to be simpler.
Yeah. Silent Seven Star is a character we've seen already. You've certainly seen Silent Seven Star in the ending montage last week and in the OP. Other than that, I'm not saying anything.
You gotta practice for when Ed asks you that question again.
I think Ed already knows though, because he really went into that topic with us a couple of weeks ago.
I have to say, I think he's cluing on.
Yeah. I mean, there are enough clues about that you can figure it out, so I don't really see that if he has figured it out, it's a spoiler, but I'd rather not spoil it for anyone in here, although I think most people in here already know anyway. Ding Dong Head said the last line has different translations based on where you see it. One says, it's a secret, and another says, I won't tell. Yeah, the version I saw, it was I won't tell. Which I think is what she says in the light novel translations as well, but it's a while since I read them. I don't know how many more episodes until we see that character, Retro Gamer. What do you think, SB?
Probably not next episode, but the episode after.
Really? I think it might be one more than that, because isn't the dwarf thing before that?
Yeah, it could be.
I reckon we might get what you were expecting next week. The week after that, maybe the dwarf thing and some other shenanigans, and then that stuff with the beast people and that character. But it's hard to say, really. Those are all things that can't be skipped. So other than that, though, it's all a bit flexible. I'd forgotten about the gorilla woman, actually. Until before I saw the episode, I saw that Brandon had tweeted a screenshot of it, and I was like, oh yeah, the gorilla-chan. Josh Thomas Moore says Fitz is of French origin and means son of, so Sylphie is kind of trying very hard to keep the illusion up. Actually, I believe that Riffigen named Fitz after a physicist, because he names quite a lot of characters after scientists. I can't remember what the real Fitz actually did, but that's why it's spelt usually F-I-T-T-S rather than F-I-T-Z, which is more what you'd expect because it's a much more common name. Sorry, I'm just trying to read through some of these because there's some really interesting questions. Why do they translate the name of that character as Silent Seven Stars? Because that's literally what it translates to. The 7 stars part is the part that you typed, but their other name is a word meaning silent in Japanese.
Because they don't really talk.
And Silent Fitz is Silent Fitz because she doesn't talk very much. And I mean, I can explain why Silent Seven Stars uses that name, but it would be a spoiler, so I'll leave that until we have a bit more information about that character in a couple of weeks. Retro Gamer says, yeah, I thought she was a beast person more like Ghislaine. I didn't know she was more like Gisu. Actually, the lore behind the beast and demon people is a bit tricky. There are beast people who are classed as demons because of who they sided with in the human-demon war. So Gisu, for example, could be considered... He is considered a demon race, but he could have been a beast race. You know, there are beast race people. Another example is like the horse dude. You know, those people are beast men, but they're considered to be demon race because of where certain tribes sided in the demon-human war. Is really deep lore that I only knew about a few weeks ago when I was researching a video about the races. But the Silent Seven Stars character, her name is nothing to do with her being silent. Fitz, it is. Silent Seven Stars name is that because it's a translation of something else into the language used in Mushoku Tensei, which obviously in our case is usually English. But Silent Fitz is that's just a nickname for Fitz because Fitz doesn't speak much. So that's all. Do beast race live as long as demons? I don't think so. I think they have pretty much human lifespans, don't they?
That I actually don't know the answer
But
to.
the demons all vary anyway. I mean,
Yeah.
like Roxy's tribe have a different lifespan to like Rejed's, and then you've got the immortal demon race that are a different thing altogether. They're pretty much indestructible. So I really wanted to ask about Necros Lacross's son, something that we've seen in the trailer. Does he play any major role? Is he going to meet with main characters? I didn't know he was Necros Lacross's son, actually, but yeah, that character will appear and interact with others in the next few episodes. Pablo Arsa says, I understand beast girls like cat-based, dog-based, even rabbit-based, but you have to be real damn bad to get with a gorilla girl. Damn. I mean, I would feel the same way about that guy with a horse head, you know, that Roxy was in a party with. It's like...
I know, there are some strange people out there.
I know, but somebody with just some little animal features, you know, they got some cat ears or some fox ears or something like that. You know, that's a completely different interest to being interested in, you know, furries.
Talking about furries is actually a funny conversation. Because of
It's always a good time when you talk about furries. I think we should answer a couple more questions before we get into that, but if you have some stories to tell.
Yeah.
Shinkai Atsuya says, what's your favourite race in Mushoku Tensei if you have one? Mine's probably the dragon race. We haven't seen much of them yet.
My favourite race is the MILF race. Supreme race.
We're just Zenith.
Yep. The only race that matters, the Zenith MILF race.
Okay, so what were you going to tell us about furries?
There's a game that just came out recently that's doing really popular because it's got an option to romance a druid, and the option in it is that you can actually fuck the druid in bed.
In what?
You can bang the druid in bear form.
Oh.
I want to see if chat...
Is that in Baldur's Gate? Is that in Baldur's Gate?
Yeah.
Right.
Baldur's Gate.
I really want to start playing that, but...
It's really good. I've been playing it whenever I've had time, and I've been feeling well enough, and I'm just like, it's so fun. Which is actually the first time I've actually played like a D&D style PC game.
I might get it and try and get used to PC gaming. Can I play it with an Xbox controller though?
It is coming out on Xbox. And
no, I want to play it. I can play it on Windows because my Xbox is in storage. But I can play it on Windows. It's just I've got a good like Razer Xbox controller, and I'm not good at playing games with keyboards and mice because I never did. So if I can play it with a controller, I might stand a chance at not just being useless.
Because actually, it's been like Borders playing it. It's actually been reminding me of Paul, Zenith, and their adventure party. Because of the whole like going into dungeons and doing all the whole dungeon crawling and the prepping stuff and all that.
Yeah.
And it's just kind of like every time I've been doing that, I've been like thinking about Mushoku Tensei and that particular party. I was like, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, can you play it multiplayer?
Yes, you can. It's up to 4 players.
Oh, so we could have a party.
Yeah.
Can I be Alina Lise? if we're gonna do Paul's party, can I be Alina Lise or Ghislaine? I don't want to be Zenith because I don't like being a healer.
You can be whatever you want. There's a lot of variety in it.
You can be Paul.
Okay. Well, I'll play Berserker.
Retro Gamer says, man, with all the amazing lore of this game, imagine a super in-depth game, the level of Baldur's Gate set in the Mushoku world, or an MMO. I'd play non-stop. Yeah, if there was an MMO, especially if it was VR, I'd just go and live in there.
That's why I want Elon to hurry up with a Neuralink so we can have our virtual
Life.
SAO style
Yeah.
game. That'd be brilliant. Oh, imagine a Baldur's Gate game with SAO
Yeah.
style.
You know everyone
that
would just
would
be trying to do that bear bit with the druid, though, wouldn't they?
Nah, I already eyed off who I want in Baldur's Gate. Though the game is actually too funny. It's way too insane. There's an insane crazy paladin chick that basically tries to like rape you.
Forget Me Not says, will you guys be getting the Jobless game if it's good? Probably if it's released in English, but at the same time, the ReZero one was so terrible that I don't hold up a great amount of hope for these games until they're actually out. And although we should probably try and get codes for that.
I probably will play it, maybe. I don't know. If it's got any lore and stuff in it, then I'll probably will play it just so I can go over the lore. Spirited Clan Leader, I know you've done it in WoW. Oh, yeah, I've got plenty of stories of me being a raid leader and everything. So it would work in a Baldur's Gate with me and Nat.
Yeah. But we can only have 4 people in our party, so we can't just make a massive clan.
You could just be the 2 of us and we can just take 2 NPCs.
Yeah. We don't need anybody else, do we, babe?
Exactly.
Alina Elise could be classed as a berserker, just not on the battlefield.
I mean, yeah, technically, yeah. I mean, what would...
Ghislaine would be a berserker. She actually goes berserk in the side story.
Yeah, I would classify her as a barbarian base.
Yeah.
Paul would come under as a fighter. Zenith would come under as a cleric. Geese is a rogue. What was the dwarf? What was his
I can't remember.
weapons?
I want to say like a hammer or an axe or something, but that's just because that's what dwarves always have, isn't it? I don't really remember what he did very much. Ada, thank you, Cloud Eater.
I'm gonna look it up online.
I can't remember what Alina Elise was actually classed as either. She was a fighter, but I don't know what style.
If I remember correctly, I think she might have used a glaive. I will check.
Forget Me Not says, I was watching your read-alongs on the prequel. Any news of them animating that? No, and I mean, it's not even been put out in an official light novel yet. That's still web novel content that came out after the light novels and after Redundancy, which is currently coming out as light novels. I think eventually there'll probably be a light novel version of it, but whether or not it's ever animated remains to be seen. But you can...
Yeah, she uses a buckler and a gladius.
Yeah, so she's a fighty. Tauhan's armoured mage, according to people who remember this better than us. Alina Elise is a tank.
Annalise's attack. If she was maybe. I'm just checking what the other weapon was. So I don't.
Kekarek says, out of context, but have you guys watched...
Baldur is a magic item.
Yeah, she's got quite a lot of magic items from all the dungeons that she's been in. And she's rich, so she can buy anything she sees that she wants. Kekarek says, out of context, but have you guys watched Oppenheimer? And if so, did you like Sloppenheimer 4000? I haven't seen Oppenheimer yet. I can only guess at what Sloppenheimer 4000 is. Have you seen it, Aspie?
Your mic was being a little bit weird there.
Talking about Oppenheimer. Have you seen Oppenheimer?
I don't know if it's lag or just your mic has been super weird with the kind of tingy sound.
Oh.
Sounds like lag.
It might just be that I moved away from it or something, but... is it better now? Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Unless I'm lagging.
I am Yao to test. Yeah. I did like that we got some good quality nyas from Linear.
Nope, I'm lagging.
iBlaze says, would you recommend reading the light novels if I started with web novels? I don't know if I would miss anything else. For example, the first couple episodes of this season with the adventuring party. That whole part was volume 7 of the light novels, which is completely new to the light novels. You probably could start with that one and just go from there if you want to switch from the web novels to the light novels. There are quite a lot of things added into the light novels. Some of which I haven't read because at the time I read the whole thing, I think I had to switch at volume 16 because the rest of it wasn't out in English. So I still need to go back and reread the light novels of everything else, but I'm just going to wait until volume 26 is out at this point. But yeah, there are some new things.
Discord hates me.
Because Discord doesn't know how beautiful you are.
It was like 500 ms. I thought you were lagging, and I realized it went red like after like 2 minutes, and I was like, oh goddamn Discord.
Forget Me Not says, so will this entire season go up to volume 11 of the light novel or past that? We think
12.
it will go to the end of 12. But that
Adam is 12.
Yeah, but that will be by the end of the second core, so next year.
Yeah.
But yeah. Luke.
I mean, they did show volume 12 in the trailer, so I assume it will be that.
Lucas says you can probably skip to volume 13 or 14, but read the side stories of all volumes starting at volume 1. Yeah, I mean, the side stories from all the volumes are more or less cut content, and some of them do have an effect on things that happen later on, but at the same time, you could probably just pretty much start with volume 7 and, find out the rest of the bits you've missed from cut content videos and stuff like that. If you don't, because I mean, personally, I think, yeah, it is obviously the best experience is going to be reading the whole thing. But at the same time, it can be a real grind to go back and read something that's mostly the same as something you've literally just watched. And I understand that,
Yeah, I ask that question a lot, and I just say to people, just read from like volume 7, but then you get the light novel purists being like, no, you must start from volume 1. It's like, no, you don't need to make people's lives more difficult than it needs to be.
Yeah, I mean, you will miss a few things, but at the same time, you can find a lot of them out from, watching videos or, the wiki or whatever. So if to you it's not been long enough that you want to go back and read all of Rudy's childhood again, you can just start from, I would say if you've only read the web novel and watched the anime, volume 7 is probably worth reading just because it is completely new content to the light novels. But we have just seen it. And yeah, you probably could just go from volume 8, really. Tim Black says, where is that cricket? Can you hear the cricket?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought because
I
it's not quite so hot today, so the cicadas aren't all like making their noise. And I do actually have the windows all closed so that people wouldn't be distracted. Because apparently on my last video there was a lot of bug noises outside. And I can't do anything about them, you know, I mean,
it doesn't really bother me.
It's
but I don't know.
it's nature, and I can't do anything to stop them doing it. But there's only just one loud cricket outside at the moment, so...
It's alright, it might not be that hot out there, but you make up for that.
Oh, you charmer. Kekarek says, Nat and Necro, how would you define yourselves politically? Left, right, or the based grill master? That means middle. Necro, I don't even know if he's still in the chat, but it's SB that I'm on stream with right now.
Are they mistaking me for Necro?
Maybe, I don't know. Necro was in the chat, so he might actually be asking Necro, but I don't know. I'm a centrist, so I guess the based grill master. But I try not to talk about politics too much, except maybe sometimes on Twitter.
My political opinion is Necros are the supreme race.
Yeah.
But Australian politics is very different to American politics, so whenever Americans ask me about political stuff, it's like, it doesn't really apply the same over here.
Forget-me-not says, wait, what's the difference between the web novel and the light novel, and does no one care about the manga at all? I think you'd have to really be someone who doesn't like reading novels to choose to read the manga over the novels. The difference between the web novel and the light novels is just the web novel was the original, which was a free web novel. It's finished, it was serialized, and Riffigen rewrote it into light novel format. And what he did when he did that was he also added some stuff. It doesn't change the overall story, but it adds some things. And the stuff we saw in the last few episodes was originally a time skip in the web novel, and volume 7 basically fills in what happened in that time skip, and that's where we get Sarah and Soldat and these characters who are light novel only, and there are other characters later on who are light novel only as well. But the overall plot of Mushoku Tensei and all the big mysteries and that are basically the same between both. Yamiel Diaz says, maybe you can put some lo-fi music in the background to distract from the crickets. Well, I did have lo-fi music in the background of my video, but apparently it didn't quite drown them out. And I should have some music playing on this stream, but it seems to not be working properly, so... And I had to fiddle about with this stream so much to get it working at all that I'm not going to mess around with it to get the music. Oh, yeah, this is something. Mega Man Lamb Prime says, was anyone else surprised about the OP? Also, thoughts on the OP? I was surprised by that. Were you, SB? The fact that Mushoku Tensei had a normal OP.
Yes, but I'm not disappointed. I saw so many people upset about it. They're like, oh, but I'm like, no, it fits nice because this is like a major arc that kind of just fits nice to...
And also there isn't really like any traveling or time skips or anything that it makes sense to sort of skip through in a montage. So I think if there is in future, they might just switch to, again, using the song but with a montage or something instead. But for this current bit, a more traditional OP sequence actually does make sense. Jimothy says crickets are edible. I know they are, but I don't want to eat the bugs. I don't want to live in the pod and eat the bugs. Would you...
I don't eat bugs, but I'll eat you.
Well, I'm not a bug.
Exactly.
I'm a feature. like the song that the OP has. I like the ED as well. That it's weird to call it an ED when we're talking about Rudius, but and I really like the fact that the OP does kind of hint at some of the stuff we'll be seeing in this arc and the kind of vibe of it. I think it's really good. And the ED with Sylphie, you know, I mean, this will probably only be used for the rest of this core, because after that it will be a kind of redundant part of the plot. So I think they will be changing the EDs and OPs throughout. What do you think those feathers and birds and that mean, though? Or are we going to have to ask Ed about that, because he understands about symbolism and stuff?
They're the representation of the girls.
Oh.
Because they're each different colour. Blue is Roxy, green, Sylphia, red, Eris.
Oh, okay. That was actually quite basic and I didn't pick up on it. I was like, oh, pretty coloured birds and feathers, you know?
Ed will definitely analyse now. God,
you know.
So that's going to take 2 hours for him to analyse.
You know, I don't really go in much for like visual symbolism and stuff, but when it's something that, you know, sensible, it's not like, oh, the colour of the curtains represents his state of mind. It's like, okay, yeah, this is the 3 girls, that makes sense, but
I just realised, because there is an opening song, he's going to take like 2 hours to analyse that.
I know, you sent me the lyrics last week and I was reading them, but I'd forgotten that you'd sent them to me because I'd asked for them, and then I read it and I was just like, is this some kind of poem or something? Did you write this? I was like, what? Wow, how it's pretty romantic as well. I was all like docky docky, and then I remembered that I'd asked you to send me the translation of the lyrics.
Better take some notes on that those lyrics then.
The green bird changes to white in the end of the OP. Does it? Again, I was just like, oh, pretty birds, I like these. This is pretty. And I'm that dumb that I didn't actually twig what they represented. I was just like, oh, they're just brightening up Rudy's life. It's the birds and it's pretty. No. It was a really, really obvious piece. Yeah, no, but it was really obvious as well. And I just was like, oh, I'm going to ask Ed later what he thinks that represents. The ED has such a BL manga vibe in some of the illustrations. Yeah, it really does. I really like it though, like that kind of hand-drawn, you know. Iblaze says, this is technically a spoiler, but does Sylphie's hair go back to normal? I don't think that's a spoiler really, is it? Do you reckon?
Not really.
No, it doesn't. She has white hair forever now. It doesn't affect her magic. It's just that she used up all of her mana and was basically, it's like a physical trauma from that. But yeah, her hair stays white. But that's actually a good thing for Sylphie, because green-haired people are bullied in that world. So it's better for her to have white hair anyway. So it's not really a bad thing. Shrill Spade says, is there going to be a split core during this season? Yes. At the end of this season, there will be a 2-season gap, and then there'll be core 2. So that's going to be the spring season next year. Timothy, don't bring up Bussy on my channel, okay? We don't talk about Bussy on my channel.
You have the strangest fans. Or particularly Timothy. Or Jimothy.
Jimothy comes and he's quite good value though. He tells us all his adventures with his ex-wife and whether or not she's...
lawsuits that follow.
Yeah, whether or not she's blown up any major residences this week. Mr. Emeriv says, yeah, but the green hair thing is being remedied by the actions of Regerd. Not at any great speed. It's something that's really like baked into people. It's similar to the way people hate Orsted because he's cursed, for everyone to be afraid of him, which is why like even the horse freaked out when they saw Orsted, not just Eris and Regerd. The effect of green hair is similar to that. And Sylphie isn't connected to Regerd's tribe or anything. The reason she has green hair will be explained much later. But it's not like a genetic thing where she's part of some tribe where there is a history of hating them. It's literally just if you have green hair, people mistrust you. And what's interesting is that that's always been the case. Because in Old Dragon's Tale, Laplace, the main character in that, this is set thousands of years before anything involving the Superd or anything like that. People didn't like him because he had green hair. That's just a bit of lore, really. Rather than anything that's going to be all that relevant in the story, so I don't really consider it a spoiler, but it is interesting to know that before, the reason why we know people in Mushoku Tensei's world don't trust people with green hair, which is what was explained to Rudius by Hitagami when he thought Orsted had killed him. That actually wasn't the only reason, because for some reason we don't know, even thousands of years earlier, there was a mistrust of someone who had green hair. And he wasn't a bad guy or anything at that point. He just had green hair. And people found it uncanny and unpleasant to look at, so it freaked him out a bit. Nat jealous of Fitz, Bussy and Riz because she can't compete. I don't know, because does it count as Bussy if it Fitz is Sylphie? I don't know. I don't want to talk about Bussy though. Bussy. Raymond Santos says, does everyone know she's a girl other than Rudy? I don't get why he didn't question why she was in the girls' dorm. No, he doesn't know she's a girl. He thinks she's a boy. Everybody else thinks she's a boy, including Rudy, except for Ariel and Luke. But because Ariel's a princess and he's one of her guard, Fitz and Luke are allowed to stay in the girls' dorm because they've got their own private wing. So they don't get stopped from being in the girls' area, because they're basically there to guard Ariel. But Ariel and Luke know that Sylphie's a girl. Rudy currently doesn't. Mr. Emerov says, so why don't people just dye their hair? Going bald like Regerd would be another solution. Well, they could. I mean, you can. But in Sylphie's case, you know, when she had green hair, she was just a little kid anyway. Yeah, she got bullied, but little kids don't tend to dye their hair or shave their heads or anything like that. She didn't even understand why she had green hair, because none of her family did, or why that was a reason why people would pick on her. So, you know, there probably are other people who do shave their heads or dye their hair, but we don't really hear about that in any point in the story. You know, I mean, you could say in ReZero, Emilia is hated for having silver hair, the same as the Witch of Envy. And yeah, she could just dye her hair. It was actually written into it why she didn't do that. It's part of her agreement with Puck, her contract with Puck, that she can't hide what she is. She can't hide that she's a silver-haired half-elf. But she could easily just dye her hair, have a hairstyle that covers her ears, and nobody would bully her for looking like the Witch of Envy. But you know, when it's for lore or whatever, you want to give the characters a reason to maintain those features that cause problems for them, because it's part of the story, you know. Kel says, Natalie, what is your accent? I used to think your voice was AI generated. I'm from like the south of England, but I haven't lived in the UK for like 12 years at this point, so my accent's probably a bit messed up.
Why is it all of us get accused for being AI generated, and yet AI generated content doesn't get accused of being AI generated?
I don't know. I'm really sick of it though. Not people thinking I'm AI, but the AI generated Mushoku Tensei videos with spoilers in the thumbnails.
It was funny because I made that tweet about it, and I can't remember his name, but he was asking for an example, and I was going to give one, but I was like, do I really need to give an example of AI generated content on YouTube? It's like there's so many of them. There was like 6 channels that got recommended.
Yeah.
And like you click on them and they were like, oh, I'm going to explain to you Roxy. And it was just like, everything was just from the Wikipedia. It was like,
yeah,
oh, she wears this and this is her hair and this is her. It's like,
someone had a short that was recommended to me that was like explaining what happens to Zenith in a short, right? Now, you know, my most viewed video is the one where I explain everything that happens to Zenith. I have no idea why it's the most popular video, but it is. And that video is maybe, yeah, but that video is maybe like 20 minutes long, explaining everything that happens to Zenith in the whole story. This little short, I didn't watch it, but the thumbnail had a whole paragraph of text that basically summarizes a lot of the stuff that happens. And it's like, that's heavy spoilers. And you're just writing them on the thumbnail of a short that's going to come up for loads of people.
They do it because they know it angers people, and so people go into the comments and call them out, and then it gets them engagement.
Yeah.
This is why, now I'm going to really trigger people here. This is why I like X, because X lets you block people, and if they're going to add their own YouTube feature, there'll still be block available. So I'll be able to block every single content creator that puts spoilers in their videos or thumbnails and don't give warnings. Because spoilers are fine as long as you give a warning.
Yeah.
YouTube does not have a block feature.
Yeah.
You can say don't recommend, but it will still end up recommending it for the most part. And I'm just like...
And also, how can you know what you don't want it to recommend? You can't say don't recommend me anything about Mushoku Tensei because I don't want spoilers. You know, because you do want to see some stuff. You know, you might want to see episode reviews and things like that. You just don't want to see the videos that explain everything. And when I make those videos, I try and put, if I can't put a picture on there that sums up the thing I'm talking about without it having spoilers in it, I just put a generic picture of Rudius, you know, on the thumbnail. And I try and make the title vague. And I put a big spoiler warning. The start of the video has a spoiler warning. I go to all that trouble, and then someone just posts the entire synopsis of everything that you're trying not to spoil in the thumbnail of a short. And then the video's crap anyway, because it's just an AI reading out something from the wiki. It's like, okay, there may be a market out there of people who can't be bothered to read a paragraph of the wiki, but it's kind of different to someone who's going to read all 26 of the novels and side content and take notes on all the lore and try and make a video that answers all the questions people have. I mean, yeah, it sucks.
Yeah, as someone in chat said, don't recommend channel, yet the next day the same channel comes up on my feeds. It's like, yeah, that's why I want a proper block feature, but YouTube will never do a block feature because I can tell you right now, if a block feature got added on YouTube, everyone would just block all the mainstream media on YouTube and then
yeah.
the channel would be dead and not dead.
Yeah, that's true. Like, everybody would just block. I mean, I don't think you get those, like, late night American talk show host clips anymore because of the writer's strike. There just isn't any new content from those shows.
Apparently they're using AI to replace them now.
Yeah. I mean, I've never really watched them anyway, but I can imagine that an AI would be an enormous improvement on James Corden. I'd rather watch a dog sniffing another dog's butt for like 20 minutes than watch a sketch from James Corden. Retro Gamer says, yeah, some of those videos are annoying. However, it is amazing to get to listen to the light novels again while I'm at work. I mean, I can sort of see it is a copyright infringement, so I wouldn't personally do it, but I can sort of see why a text-to-speech audiobook is just like, yeah, I can get the book while I'm doing something else or whatever. It's never going to be as good as an audiobook read by a real person, but an AI can do a reasonable enough job, and yeah, I can see why someone would find those useful. But what I'm talking about here is just like, it's literally just reading out paragraphs from the wiki and calling that a video. You know? And they get so many views because they're so good at getting themselves up in the algorithm. Mega Man Lamb Prime says, so Natalie, still wondering how much fire should we use against someone who claims Hitagami Man God is best boy? If that person exists, I have yet to meet them, but the answer would be, I just guess, all of the fire. Tiny Prawny says, isn't MT getting a proper audiobook in English? Yes, that was announced, I think, last week. And I'm really happy about it because it means people might stop asking me to record it on my YouTube channel.
Yeah, there'll be an audio. It depends on how slow they do the audiobook, though. It could be like one every 4 months or something for a new one, which could take a long time before.
Yeah, I mean, it does take quite a long time to record and do the post-production on a whole audiobook. So I think there would be months in between because it is the same narrator doing all of it, you know. So I think it's not going to be a rapid release. And also they'll probably be quite expensive because, you know, on YouTube you can watch it for free. And that's why it's copyright infringement, and that's why I only read the web novel side content type stuff or excerpts from the light novel if it's part of an analysis video. But yes, there will be a proper light novel release in English of the audiobook. The voice actor for it was announced, but it's not anyone I've heard of because I don't really follow, you know, American voice actors. It is a male voice actor, which makes a lot of sense because it's mostly written in the first person from Rudy's perspective. And that's one of the reasons I've always said it wouldn't make sense for me to do it, even if I, you know, could do that as a job. Because with a third person story like ReZero, you can have a woman do it, and often women are better at doing the range of voices needed to cover a big cast. But with something written in the first person with a male protagonist, you really want a man reading that, and you know that's what they've chosen as well. So it's going to be really good, I think. But in the meantime, there's still the text-to-speech versions that are definitely copyright infringement.
yeah, doing anything audiobook related on YouTube is bound to run into copyright problems.
Ricardo says, but we prefer your voice. I know, and I do appreciate that people, when they're saying this, are being nice to me, but at the same time, I don't think people appreciate just how much work it is to read entire novels, you know, as a full-time job. You know, to make... I don't get a lot of views on those videos, to be honest. I don't make a lot of money on them. They're just something I did for fun, because I wanted everyone to hear Old Dragon's Tale, so that when I talk about it in lore videos, there's an easy way to... that we've all experienced it, you know. And it wasn't like I'm trying to get into audiobook narration as a job. I could do that as a job, and I don't want to. I've never even narrated my own books that I own the rights to, because it's very demanding. You have to like look after your throat and everything so much that you can't even sort of really go out in case you have to shout a bit loud over loud music or something. Whereas when you're just doing YouTube videos, people will forgive you if there's a bit of background noise or your voice sounds slightly different one day to another day because, you know, you're recording at a different time of day or you've just eaten or something. All of these things can affect your voice. And when it's your job to sound completely consistent and read out millions of words, that's not the job I want. I want to make my own content and talk about things and write my own theories and ideas. So, you know, and that's what I mean. Mr. Emeriv says they can't get you for copyright if you do your own novels. That's exactly what I mean. I have the rights to my own novels, and yet I've never done it because I don't want to, you know? So it gets really, like, frustrating when that's all anybody ever wants me to do. Like, nearly every day I have to explain to someone why I'm not going to read out the whole of a light novel series, you know? Mega Man Lamb Prime says, I know it's not MT, but are you still thinking of doing any of the other ReZero Ifrits? Yes, I do plan to do those. The web novel versions at least. But I'll probably do them more coming up to when ReZero Season 3 is coming out, because at the moment I really want to focus on Mushoku Tensei content. And then in the fall we'll be going into Shield Hero and Eminence.
That's the one thing I hate about being as a YouTuber is when you're like, oh, I'm going to do a lot of this content for this season because this is currently... And then everyone's like, oh, so you're not going to do that anymore. It's like, no, I'll do it when I'm ready.
Yeah, it's just
We've been getting that with Dharmachi. People are like, oh, you're not going to do Dharmachi anymore. It's like, I've read all the light novels. I'm waiting for more volumes to come out.
It's like, I think there is a balance between... If you want to just do a channel that really focuses on one series, you know, like I've got some friends who've got channels that just talk about ReZero. You know, you can do that because you're going in for the web novel readers and all that kind of things. But when you're doing a more sort of like, I mean, we mainly stick with light novels, mostly isekai, but, you know, that kind of stuff. And... yeah, when I could put a ReZero video up now, that's not going to do all that well. Or I can put the exact same video up when ReZero 3 is coming out. You know, it's we have to think about the growth and the income we can get from doing it as well. And unfortunately, that does mean we have to be kind of seasonal. Draco says, why not read your own stories online or Brandon's? For the reasons I just said, I don't want to be a narrator, you know.
And also, they probably don't do very well. So it's a lot of effort just for something that very few people are probably going to watch.
Yeah. I mean, like, if I did read out my own stories, I would record them as audiobooks and sell them on Amazon. I wouldn't put them on YouTube because nobody on here, well, maybe some of my, you know, more engaged like audience might be interested in some stories I wrote, but that's not what people watch my channel for. They watch me talk about, you know, Japanese stories, and you know, I just don't see that it would be particularly profitable for me to release a YouTube video that like maybe 1,000 people will watch. That's something I don't really feel like doing anyway, and is hard to produce. When I could, if I wanted to do that, I would record them as proper audiobooks and sell them on an audiobook platform like Audible, not on just on my channel. So, you know, and yeah, Draco is partly a copyright thing, but like I said, I do own the rights to some books. Web novel content, the copyright thing isn't so much of an issue, but I'm certainly not going to read the entire web novel of like ReZero, like some people have suggested I do. It's like 2.5 million words, you know. But yeah, I'm sorry if I sound a bit frustrated. It's just I get so sick of explaining it so often. I'm really grateful that people like the readings that I do, but it's really not the focus of my channel, and it gets frustrating to kind of explain it all the time. I mean, SB, you even get people asking you to ask me to read the novels, don't you?
Yes. Which is rather funny. It feels like people assume I'm your husband.
Well, you are my YouTube
Not
husband. My TV husband.
Until I decide to get promoted to a more permanent position.
One day I'll put a ring on it.
Exactly.
Well, is there anything we haven't covered from the actual episode? Because I feel like I've just been ranting about readings for the past like 20 minutes.
I think we pretty much covered everything. I think the major stuff that was worth talking about was the ending, the OP song, the ending, and Cliff. Yeah.
Yeah, we can't really talk about Cliff too much this week because it's too tempting to get into things that we can't get into yet. Not just for us, but for chat. Because I know like most of the people in the chat have been spoiled, or do you know? What are you going to say?
Ricardo, are you joking or not? He said, wait, you don't live together.
No.
I don't know if that's joke or not, because it's funny if you actually think we live together.
No, I think he's definitely joking, but at the same time, we live about as far away from each other as you can possibly live. Jimothy says, Ricardo, they are lovers with distance physically but are close in heart. Me and my ex-wife are the opposite.
Jimothy with the beautiful save there.
Do you think Cliff still loves Eris? In today's episode, no, I think in today's episode he kind of does. But it was more like infatuation, and that's why he still like resents Rudius, even though he's only just met him. But if he can become infatuated with Eris that quickly, he can become infatuated with someone else just as quickly. So they're not going to become rivals over Eris. That's not the way it's going.
It's alright, I'll make sure that Nat lives in the upside down world.
He does, he lives in the upside down. I live in the cricket world at the moment.
We have crickets over here, they just don't make really obnoxious noises.
Well, it's also winter where you are. Crickets are a summer noise.
True. But I don't hear them even at night time. Most of the time at night time, it's just cats fighting.
You probably got double glazing though.
You got what?
Double glazing. Like decent windows that keep the noise out.
Oh.
My dad lives in a super old house, so it's like I hear everything.
I won't say too much about my windows, but let's just say no one's getting in.
Yeah.
There are special security metal bars. No one can get in, no one can get out.
No one can get out?
Yeah, that too. It's pop riveted. You can't get rid of them unless you have a special screw.
So I can't escape, is what you're saying?
Unless you know where the front and the back door are. Because you can't get out the windows.
So I should be frightened if you make me wear a bag over my head to walk through the front door.
Don't give me ideas. Though, to be honest, I don't think you'd even be able to get out. You'd be too scared of all the animals.
Yeah, probably.
The pigeons will look at you and you'll be mortified by them.
I wouldn't be scared of pigeons.
Actually, they're quite aggressive over here. They're very territorial fellas.
Wait, even your pigeons want to kill you?
Yeah, they're quite No, they don't want to kill me. They're just very territorial.
Oh. Anyway, you shouldn't be telling me all these things that might put me off going to Australia. You're supposed to lure me in.
The animals are all very loving, very caring. None will ever hurt you, I swear. We don't have good old-fashioned boxing with cats out in the backyard fighting over weird territorial stuff.
But everywhere has that. Everywhere with cats has that. I'm not scared of cats because I'm the cat whisperer. They listen to me.
These cats are insane. Because where I live, there's next door, they've got this massive backyard, and I've been in there once before, and if you put a light and you push it down to the backyard, it's just like millions of eyes glow in their backyard.
Cool. Hang on, I just want to answer a couple of questions. Josh Thomas Moore says, do we have anything concrete on how time works in Mushoku Tensei? I have a really long video where I explain how I think it works, but it's a very long video with lots of spoilers in, so it's kind of down to you whether you want to watch that. But that's how I think it works, and I haven't seen a better idea put forward. But yeah, it's not something where there's like a chapter that just explains everything. You know, it's.
Rico said there are Australian pigeons and they eat human flesh. You know, there's actually a giant statue of a pigeon in my city.
Really?
Yeah, it's a giant pigeon. It's like a silver medal statue of it.
Why?
Which is really funny because when it first got put there, people complained about it. They're like, it's a waste of money. And then everyone's just like, you know, well, we actually like it. So now it's like the sort of the beloved statue.
In London, we try and keep the pigeons off the statues.
To be honest,
instead of erecting statues in their honour.
Yeah, pretty much. Instead of trying to keep them off things, we just make statues.
Joshua Vildren says, come to New Zealand, it's better here, no snakes. I have been to New Zealand.
There are snakes there.
I've been to New Zealand. No, there's nothing venomous though. It's like the tutorial. It's like the tutorial mode, whereas you're the last dungeon boonies.
Yeah, well, see, that's just like easy mode. Natalie wants a bit more of a hardcore experience for that nightly activities.
I don't know about fighting animals though. That wasn't part of it.
Yeah, but that's just par for the course. It's more fun. If you don't punch a kangaroo, well, you haven't had your full experience yet.
And what about the drop bears? Do I just get a cricket bat and just take them out?
Catch a net.
Catch them in a net?
Yeah.
What do you do when you've got a bag full of them though?
Throw them at my neighbours.
Cool.
Actually, that reminds me of a funny story when my neighbours came around and they complained because I fed the pigeons, and they complained because the pigeons were shitting on their roof. So randomly one day when they had guests around, I walked out into my backyard and screamed, I am the Dark Lord. I summoned those pigeons to shit on my neighbour's head.
And you say you don't drink?
That's the same story. I've seen the one time where I pulled my pants down in my front yard and into my neighbour.
Did your neighbour like that?
No. he proceeded to yell at me and wave his fist at me.
Uh-huh.
A week later, he had his family around, and then I started making random pigeon noises.
What, just like...
Along with a bunch of other stuff, like random seagulls and all kinds of weird animal noises. I started just screeching them.
Does that neighbour still live near you?
Yes. Surprisingly, though, the other neighbours are moving out. They've just sold the house, so thank God for that. Spirited hitting at what the spicy scene with the druid in the bear form was like. Exactly.
Yeah, I really think we should definitely play Baldur's Gate together. I think we could have some fun times.
All the fun dialogue options. There's some pretty crazy stuff.
But I think for now, maybe we should end this stream for this week. Because I've run out of things to say about Mushoku Tensei, as always happens on these streams.
Yeah, pretty much.
It's been a lot of fun though, and thank you for those of you who stuck around through the streams that didn't work at first, and have been with us to talk about all these random subjects. Next week we'll be on my channel again because SB won't be here. Hopefully I'll get Brandon in to guest host. If he's not available, I'll find somebody, I'll drag somebody in from X wherever to be a co-host. So it won't just be me prattling on, but I look forward to seeing you next week so we can discuss whatever transpires in the next episode. Do you want to say goodnight, SB?
Good night, and see you in the future. Well, I'll be on my other channel anyway when I upload videos, but until then, yeah, for a while.
Are you going on Ed's stream?
Yeah, I still plan to, if I'm alive.
Yeah, I probably will, depending on how late it ends up being when it gets to a section. I'm a bit tired because I had to get up early for something today. But if it's not ridiculously late, I will hopefully be on there. Mega Man Land Prime says, will you be able to get Chibi on? Chibi does want to come on. It's just a bit difficult because he tends to make videos immediately after the episode, and so the timing of it isn't really ideal for him. So we'll do something with him at some point, but I don't think it's necessarily the best time for him to go live after an episode when his content is usually analysing episodes, and he's not just talking about Mushoku Tensei either. He's doing like One Piece and other stuff, so it's not great timing wise for him. It's just like Ed's stream tends to be very, very late at night for me. But I'll still try and make it tonight if you guys are going over there. So, good night, and I'll see you for some videos during the week, and then next week for the stream again. Bye!
See you, chat.